I'll never forget the moment my daughter-in-law's voice cut through the clinking of wine glasses like a blade. Security! Get this pauper away from the table. The room froze, every eye on me, the so-called matriarch of the family, now branded a beggar at my own son's dinner table. The humiliation burned, but what hurt more was the betrayal, decades of love, sacrifice, and secrets I'd buried to protect this family, all unraveling in front of strangers. My name is Evelyn, and this is the story of how my family turned on me, how their mockery drove me to the edge, and how I clawed my way back with a truth so shocking it shattered their perfect little world. I raised my son Daniel, alone after his father walked out when he was 5. Money was tight, but I worked 2 jobs, cleaning houses by day, waitressing at night, to keep food on the table. I'd come home exhausted, my hands raw from bleach, but I'd still read him bedtime stories, tucking him in with promises of a better tomorrow. Daniel was my everything, my reason to keep going. I never told him about the sacrifices, the nights I went hungry so he could eat, or the time I sold my mother's heirloom necklace to pay for his school trip. I wanted him to feel secure, loved, not burdened by our struggles. By some miracle he excelled. Straight A's, scholarships, and eventually a fancy finance degree. I was so proud when he landed a job at a top firm, married Sophia, and moved into a mansion in the suburbs. They had 2 kids, my grandbabies Lily and Max, and for a while I thought I'd done it. I'd given him the life I never had. But Sophia, she was different from the start. Polished, poised, with a smile that never reached her eyes. She came from money, old money, and she wore it like a crown. When Daniel brought her home, I tried to be warm, welcoming her with homemade pie and stories about his childhood. She'd nod politely, but I could feel her sizing me up, her gaze lingering on my worn shoes or the thrift store dress I'd ironed twice to look presentable. "Oh, Evelyn, you're so acquaint," she'd say, her tone dripping with something I couldn't quite name. I brushed it off, thinking she'd warm up eventually. After all, we were family now. But deep down I sensed she saw me as beneath her, a relic from Daniel's past she'd rather erase. The dinner where it all fell apart was their 10th anniversary party, a lavish affair at their mansion. I'd been hesitant to go. Fancy events weren't my scene, but Daniel insisted. "Mom, you're the heart of this family," he said, and my heart swelled. I spent weeks saving up for a new dress, a simple navy number that cost more than I'd ever spent on myself. I wanted to fit in, to make them proud. When I arrived, the house was a spectacle: crystal chandeliers, waiters with champagne flutes, guests in designer suits and gowns. I felt out of place, but Daniel hugged me tightly, and for a moment, I belonged. Sophia, though, barely acknowledged me, her eyes scanning the room as if I were invisible. I sat at the family table, next to Lily and Max, who giggled and showed me their new toys. It felt good, like old times. Then came the speeches. Daniel stood, glass raised, thanking everyone for celebrating their milestone. He spoke about love, partnership, and building a legacy. I beamed, my chest tight with pride. But then Sophia took the microphone, her smile sharp as she looked right at me. "We're so grateful for everyone here," she began, "especially those who remind us where we came from." A few chuckles rippled through the crowd. Like Daniel's mother, Evelyn, who, well, let's just say she's a testament to humble beginnings. The room laughed louder, and my face flushed. Humble? I'd clawed my way through poverty to raise her husband. But she wasn't done. "Honestly, it's a miracle Daniel turned out so well, considering," she trailed off, letting the implication hang. The laughter grew crueler, and I felt Daniel shift uncomfortably beside me. He didn't speak up. He didn't defend me. I tried to shrink into my chair, my hands trembling under the table. Lily tugged at my sleeve, whispering, "Grandma, why are they laughing?" I forced a smile, but inside, I was breaking. Then Sophia leaned forward, her voice loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "Evelyn, dear, you look out of place. Did you borrow that dress from a thrift shop?" The room erupted, and my heart plummeted. I opened my mouth to respond, but no words came. That's when she waved to a man in a black suit. "Security! Get this pauper away from the table," she said, half laughing, as if it were a joke. But the guard started toward me, and the room spun. Daniel grabbed my arm, whispering, "Mom, just go, it's fine," his eyes pleading, not for me, but to avoid a scene. My own son, Siding with her, I stumbled out, tears streaming, the laughter echoing behind me. In the car, I sobbed, the weight of 30 years of sacrifice crashing down. I'd given everything for Daniel, and he'd let her humiliate me. But as I drove home, something else stirred anger. And with it, a memory I'd buried deep, a secret I'd sworn never to unearth. It was time to stop protecting them. Back home, in my tiny apartment, I pulled out an old shoebox from under my bed. Inside were letters, yellowed with age, and a single photograph. The secret I'd kept wasn't just about me. It was about Daniel's father, Richard, and the truth about why he left. I told Daniel his dad abandoned us because he couldn't handle responsibility. That was a lie. Richard hadn't just walked out, he'd been forced out, and Sophia's family was at the center of it. Her father, Charles, owned the bank where Richard worked as a young manager. When Richard uncovered evidence of Charles's shady dealings, money laundering, falsified records, he threatened to blow the whistle. Charles didn't just fire him, he ruined him, spreading lies that got Richard blacklisted from every firm in the city. Richard begged me to come with him, to start over somewhere else, but I was pregnant with Daniel, terrified and alone. I stayed and Richard left, broken. I never told Daniel the truth, wanting to shield him from the pain of knowing his father was destroyed by the same family he'd now married into. I held those letters. My resolve hardened. Sophia thought she could mock me, cast me out like trash. She didn't know the storm she'd unleashed. I spent weeks digging, using what little savings I had to hire a private investigator. The letters were a start, but I needed more. The investigator found records, old bank statements, emails, even a deposition Richard had filed before he disappeared. It was enough to prove Charles's crimes, and more importantly, it showed Sophia knew. She'd been part of the family business since college, helping cover up her father's tracks. Daniel, though, was clueless, too caught up in his perfect life to question where the money came from. I could have gone to the police, but that wasn't enough. I wanted Sophia to feel the same public shame she'd inflicted on me. I planned my move carefully, waiting for the perfect moment. It came 6 months later, at a charity gala Sophia was hosting, a glittering event where she played the benevolent heiress. I bought a ticket with the last of my savings, dressed in a second-hand gown that still turned heads. When I walked in, Sophia's face paled, but she couldn't throw me out without causing a scene. I bided my time, mingling with guests, my heart pounding. During the auction, I stepped forward, holding up a USB drive. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, my voice steady, "I have a special item to offer. The truth about the woman hosting this event." The room fell silent. Sophia laughed nervously, trying to wave me off, but I kept going. I told them about Charles's crimes, about the letters, the deposition, the years of fraud. I plugged the USB into the projector, and scan documents flashed across the screen, bank records, emails, undeniable proof. Gasps filled the room as guests whispered, their phones already buzzing with the scandal. Sophia's face crumpled, her poise gone. "You're lying," she screamed, but the evidence was ironclad. Daniel stood frozen, staring at the screen, then at me. I looked him in the eye and said, "I protected you from this for years, but you chose her over me." The fallout was swift. The police were called, and Charles was arrested within days. Sophia's reputation was shredded. The gala guests spread the story faster than any tabloid could. Daniel came to my apartment a week later, tears in his eyes, begging forgiveness. He hadn't known, he said, and he was filing for divorce. I hugged him, but I didn't let him off easy. "You stood by while she humiliated me," I told him. "You need to earn my trust back." He nodded, promising to try. As for me, I didn't need the mansion or the money. I started a small community fund with the settlement from Charles's bank, helping single mothers like I'd been. At the next family dinner, I sat at the head of my own table, Lily and Max beside me. No trace of Sophia's shadow. The pauper had won, not with wealth but with the truth. And if you're watching this, wondering if you can stand up to those who betray you, trust me, you can. Sometimes the secrets you keep are the weapons you need.